think that means we're live.
We're live.
We're live.
Hey, good to see you on Mosaic. It's the midweek update. We're super glad to be here today. We've got some great information. Would love to talk about it. I'm Kim. This is Tim.
Hi. Good afternoon, or whenever you're watching this. And yes, we have some great information.
Yes.
That's good. Yes.
Yeah. And things to invite too. So
Yeah. Things we're excited about.
things we're very excited about.
There we go. Hey, so I think we've got three things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure we'll come up with some other ones.
That'd be shocking.
We're good at that. We like to come up with more stuff. So first thing is this: we're at the back half of May, and I want to talk with us about where we're at as a church in terms of our budget and our finances.
Mm-hmm.
And so our fiscal year, if you don't know this already, runs from July 1 to the end of June. And so we've got about 6 weeks right now till the end of this fiscal year. So 2020, 2021, gosh, that's a lot of 20s, fiscal year. So we got about 6 weeks till the end. And a couple things. We are, as a church, we have really been faithful and generous in this year. And so many of us have given and continued to give through a very different kind of life and of our church this year.
Mm-hmm.
And so the good news is that we've continued to give and all that. We've held back spending. I want to give you just some numbers on that so you know what we're actually talking about. Our giving this year to date is at 86% of what we projected. So 86% versus 100% of projected. So there's about a 14% gap in what we projected and what we've actually given to date. So we're behind about 14%. We're about, I think it's like 12% behind in spending. So we've held back spending. So there's a little bit of gap where we've spent slightly more than we've given for the year. And in the history of our church, we have never spent more in a year than we've given. And so we have a little bit of makeup to do in these last 6 weeks. And so here's a couple things that I want you to know is we're holding spending any way that we can. We're just trying to not spend and limit. We're spending what we need to spend, but nothing more. And then I want to invite you to give. If you are giving, again, thank you so much. So many of us are and have continued to give. As we wind down these last 6 weeks, if you've not given, I want to invite you to check online on how to do that. Maybe you've given here and there, but it's not been a reoccurring habitual thing. There's a way to set that up. So if I can invite you to do that and just recurring. I heard this. And then the other thing is if you would like, and if you're in a place where you're able to do it, or God leads you to do it, to give an additional just financial gift as we wind down this fiscal year. Here's the thing that I heard this past week that I just thought was so helpful. It's true. It's familiar to many of us, but it might be new to you. But it was just so reorienting. I heard a friend of mine, a pastor, share. We give as followers of Jesus, not to fund some ministry, but we give first and foremost to disciple our own hearts.
Yeah.
To surrender our own hearts. And so finances, we know, is a major part of who we are. It's a reality of our life, and it's something that Scripture calls us to, that God invites us to. He wants us to have all of who we are surrendered to Him, and that includes parts of our finances. What's helpful about it is that we're not primarily asked to surrender our finances as we are the rest of our life to God so that ministry can happen. That's just an extra benefit of it. It's actually about something deeply personal to us. So as we talk about where we're at financially, please remember that and hold that first and foremost. And then in addition to that, consider how it is that God's calling you to partner with our church family in this season.
Yeah. And as we look at the year and as we look ahead to the next year, we're doing things like analyzing our giving base. And one of the things we know is that throughout the year of COVID, we have had people who have moved out of the city, people who have moved to other states. And as that has happened, our giving base has changed. God has brought new people to Mosaic. And so we have this really beautiful blend right now of people who have been a part of the Mosaic family for years and people who are newer to our church family. And one of the things we want to do is just make that invitation to give made clear and made known so that you can be a part of giving your resources to Jesus and letting Him shape them. And then also letting you know that as we as a church are looking at our finances, there is a need. And so from now through the end of June, I also just was thinking like a great way to think about this too is as people are getting tax returns. If you weren't we're getting a tax return I'm pretty excited about it. We weren't anticipating it. And that's just a way that we can go, oh, we weren't anticipating this. There's something here that we can give to the need at Mosaic. And so just want to encourage you, would you be praying about that? Would you be thinking about it? And would you respond? Would you make that into an action step? So
the other piece in this, first of all, thanks for just listening and knowing where we're at as a church family. The other thing in this is we are right in the season of planning for next year's fiscal year budget, and that is, there's actually I'm going to use this word and it's going to sound a little out of place, but there's a joy in looking forward to what God's calling us to. And so as we look into the next year, one of the unique things that we're doing is actually planning a 6-month budget, which we've never done before. But as we've sought wisdom and counsel, that's been the thing. We've always planned a 12-month budget, of course, and we're planning a 6-month budget and looking out at what we're anticipating God doing July 1 through the end of this calendar year. And so just looking at a 6-month budget. So really excited about what's coming and what's next. And so we're in this next 6 weeks and we finish this fiscal year and we'll start again a new one, which will be 6 months to start with. But
yeah. And so I also just want to put out there that any amount counts. Any amount helps. Yeah. So if you're somebody that is like, I'm a student, I don't have a lot, but I can give up a coffee this week and give $5. And then if you're somebody that makes, 10 times that or whatever, that you are thinking of things in that same way. And that's one of the ways that God provides for his church, is that as people do that. So thanks for one, taking an action step, and two, thanks for praying with us. We also want to be praying for this, and we want to be you used the word joy, and I agree. As we see God provide, we get to experience the joy of that. Yeah. So thank you, Mosaic. Thanks for being a part of that. I also want to invite you to the this next couple of weeks. We have meeting on the digital online.
I think that's what we call
it's like something like that at 10 o'clock in the morning, and then jumping into our house gatherings. We have some that are meeting in person. We have some that are meeting on Zoom. Find one, be a part of it. We're having important conversations that Jesus is using to change us and therefore to change relationships with people around us. So be a part of those. They're critical to who we are. Yeah. Second, on June 6th, the first Sunday of June, we have a great opportunity to have a first Sunday together. We're going to be here in our building at 8:30 and 10. You can RSVP for the one you want to be a part of, or you can join us at the 10 o'clock live stream. And what we're going to be doing is coming together as an all-church family to celebrate who Jesus is, to declare him king in our city. We're going to look back at the story that God has been telling in Mosaic through this season, and we're going to look ahead to the future. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to have the opportunity to pray for and celebrate our 8th graders, our high school, and our college graduates, and then we're going to have a graduation party for them. So come be a part of that.
I'm really excited about that. We've never done that before. It's a new thing. So many graduations are not what they were hoped to be long before when students were in school, and so we get to be a little part of adding something special to that. So it's going to be a great time, June 6th. I also want to just put on your radar for this Sunday, one of the things that we're excited for is there's a couple things. We're in this series called Resurrection People, a church like Jesus, that we actually want to be identified with Jesus and emulate and look like Jesus. That when people see the church, and not just our church, but the church in our city and around the world, they actually get a glimpse of who Jesus is, whether they know him or not. And there's some challenges that we need to face in that. One of those is unity. The church does not have a great history in recent history of being unified, even within each local church expression and then collectively, say, in our city. And so I have got this wonderful opportunity this last week to sit down with 2 other pastors in our city. One of the churches is a church that we planted about 8 years ago called Missio in Southwest Portland. The other is Avery Stafford, who I've gotten to interview a couple times throughout this past year, leads a church over in Beaverton. And so the 3 of us sit down for a conversation on unity and what God's call is to unity. And it's particularly timely for 2 reasons. One is that this Sunday is Pentecost Sunday, which you'll learn about if you watch this Sunday. And the second thing is that the anniversary of the death of George Floyd is coming up this next week. And so we have a conversation around those 2 events. And so please watch and plan at 10 a.m. or some other time to catch it. But we're going to watch it together at 10 a.m. as a part of our online gathering this Sunday, and then have a chance to discuss it if you're a part of a house gathering. So just want to put that on your radar and make sure you plan on that as well.
Yeah. And even as we're looking ahead to that, and we're thinking about even what's coming in this this next week with the anniversary of George Floyd's death and all that meant, all that we saw happen with that. We just want to be just calling Mosaic. Would you be praying? Would you be praying for transformation and healing in our city? Would you be praying for transformation and healing in our nation? And would you just be praying for God to move and for God to move first in us, that we would be people who that are looking at, do I have a pure heart in this? Am I following Jesus in this? So
thanks for that, Kim. That's really good.
Yeah. All right, Mosaic, we
Thanks
love
for
ya.
watching. Love you. Miss you. See you soon.